Sudden chronic illness feels as though your limp, sick, and exhausted body has been swept up and swallowed by an enormous wave. That wave rips through your identity of self. All of the parts of yourself you've built or what you've instilled within yourself are now ruined, total debris. Your occupation, abilities, finances, and future plans are fading off in the distance as you're swept further and further away from yourself. Looking at myself in the mirror is a distorted image, through fogged glass. I don't see myself anymore, a stranger in the reflection. If I ever look, that is. It's subtle, the grey hairs growing and giving up on colouring my hair because the fatigue is too immense. Not remembering the last time I put makeup on or plucked my eyebrows because it's the least of my worries. To a dresser full of clothes, yet tracksuits are worn, clothing I wouldn't have been caught dead in prior to illness. All of these things, no matter how big or little, when they slowly chip and fall away, you seem to lose more and more parts of your identity. And sometimes you wonder, is there anything left of me at all? If I ask myself the question, who am I don't know. Previously, I would have been able to answer that question. Now I cannot. I thought how cruel as I sunk deeper and deeper into the conditions and symptoms and the emotions that came with it. I sunk lower and lower, almost as though I was somehow below the seabed. I couldn't possibly get any lower. It took everything away from me. Even conversations with my children and partner were sparse because my ability to do so was impaired. It was lonely. There was no life raft. Doctors couldn't give me a fix-all medication or even a clear pathway of getting back to my old self. FND seems to be up for debate amongst clinicians, so it shouldn't shock you that there is no procedure or policy in regard to a new diagnosis. A website is mentioned, or in my case, I was told that if I just had got back onto my old medications, I would be back to normal. I was so hopeful within the first years, believing if I tried hard enough, I would get better. It set in randomly one day that these conditions were lifelong, and remission wasn't for myself. My hubris was believing remission would become reality. When I reflect back on my life, I can see how this storm wasn't new. I have felt it many, many times before, but within a different climate, a different seabed. Please understand, I have never had a person to base a moral compass on. The adults within my life haven't been safe, well-adjusted people. My compass, I've created and moulded myself in a fractured manner through my lived experiences. I have never felt as though a lighthouse or a home is a beacon of hope and safety. I'm wary of my surroundings and others. What feels like safety soon turns unsafe. Home as a child wasn't a safe space. I have to remind myself every day that I am safe, a mantra born out of becoming ill. I feel as though I have lived alone on a boat trying to figure out how to steer it with no knowledge of nautical life. I felt like I've had no help, support, or somebody protecting me. Life was for myself to figure out alone. I also feel that I've walked the plank many times. The anxiety and fear have been a constant theme within my life. Walking the plank, being physically unable to swim, life feels as though it wasn't meant for me. The familiarity of the storm, walking the plank, falling below sea level, feelings of drowning, or my own brain voting for its own mutiny against me. The raw truth is this isn't new. I was born into this. The only newness is that I have these new waves that crash. I've ridden many different waves before. The sexual, physical, emotional, abused and neglected child wave. The disabled, prejudiced and discriminated against wave. The unhealthy relationship wave. The mental health and all-encompassing and swallowing complex PTSD wave. Now I have these added waves, the chronic illness wave and the psychosocial disability wave as a result of my conditions and experiences. These waves have created a beast. Chronic illness has seemed to have mixed all of these different waves and created an entire ocean. An ocean that lasts forever. It's vast. The brutality and enormity of the ocean of chronic illness feels way more intense. Intertwined with my past experiences, interwoven and interconnected at every crash and fall, emotions are larger and feelings constantly demand to be felt like an undercurrent. Nerve pain pulsates. The symptoms thrash your weak body around, smashing against rocks, unable to get out of the current even when you scream and protest enough. The ocean becomes more vicious. This ocean feels cruel, unpredictable, and whilst familiar, a totally different beast, just like the new conditions I live with. Both the storm and the wave cannot be tamed. However, I have forged something to battle these storms, my own anchor. An anchor as old as myself. I have crafted and built it on my own merits. A tool that I have leaned into a lot after the crash of chronic illness. I realised early on in life, beauty and creativity can be made within these waves and storms, either as an act of kindness and quiet refuge, a safe space and sanctuary for healing, and a time for self-agency, mind organising, and self-growth, or as an act of rebellion towards the situations I find myself in. I oscillate between these stages when I create. The only constant anchor within my life and experiences has been the act of art. Drawing and creating within storms, a tool of grounding and salvaging the self since early childhood, a skill I have mastered through the decades of practice. My anchor is a piece of paper, ever so light, yet to me, it holds so much weight.